Hi, I'm Stefan from Extreme Distribution, and within this how-to video I will show you how to set up watch folders in Capella, Cambria FTC and FTC cluster. Here from my laptop I'm connected to our demo farm where we have 3 machines in a virtual environment, and I've already opened the Cambria cluster application that helps us to control the setup. I'm in the third tab, what is all about watch folders. As you can see, there are already 2 watch folders existing. We can, for instance, remove them, we can edit them, we can activate them or deactivate them, and we can do a reprocess. Reprocess means all the files that are already in this folder that have been processed earlier or have not been processed at all can then start it for processing. Because usually a watch folder waits for new files. For this video, let's do a new watch folder, and I like to show you things from the left to the right so that you get an impression about all the settings. The most important is we are watching a certain folder, and the way how we do that is we navigate to that folder. In my case, it's on our NAS storage. We have a share there and a watch folder that is already set. We probably want to give it a name. So like this is the demo watch, and the description might be for training only, something like that. There are various tabs, and I will guide you through all of them right now. It starts with the retrieval tab. The retrieval has the idea that we do not only watch the folder on our computer or on our NAS storage, but that we can kind of supervision remote folders. Remote either via FTP or by network storage or cloud storage. The concept is always the same. We have the login credentials to that remote server. Here in this case, the FTP URL or IP address, the username and password, the port if it's something different. And then there's a section below where we have additional actions. So this action, in our case, is bound to a trigger where we can say, okay, when the retrieval has started or the retrieval has finished, I want to run that action. I can say, okay, when it is, let's say, succeeded, I want to send an email, or I want to copy the file, or I want to delete the source from the original server, so it's deleted from the FTP server. As you can see here, Capella is not a big fully featured workflow system, but it has many built-in hooks and small tools that help you to orchestrate your workflow in terms of a task sequencer. Here we have a download task and afterwards an action task, for instance, like sending emails or doing file operations. In our case, let's say we just want to send an email and that's it. It tells me, okay, your email address is empty, that would not work. Found, understood. What else do we have available? There are other retrievals. As said earlier, we have the network copy. The idea here is that we can connect to a storage that is probably in my neighborhood, but I don't have the log-on credentials on my computer. There's something different log-on credential. Like I want to connect to a Linux storage, or I want to connect to an Apple storage or something like that. So I can point to the network location, and in addition, I can have the login credentials, username and password. Again, the same actions, the same stuff as shown earlier. We can download from S3 storage. Same idea, a little bit different parameters. Or I can do a download from a net storage, that is a CDN storage from Akamai. The second tab is about the so-called source acceptance. The first setting is about when to start the transcoding. So watch folder always waits for a moment whether there's a change to the file. And here we define how long it waits. Typically, I like to set it down to 30 seconds. And then as an option, we have filtering. We can say, okay, please accept only, for instance, MP4 files. And disregard all the others, like MOV or MXF files or whatsoever. There's an option to work on growing files. Growing files means I'm not waiting for the complete file to be transferred to the transcoder, but I start immediately while it's still moved to the transcoder's input storage. And again, I have two parameters. One is the setting for how much data to wait before I start and how long to wait after I have received the last bit and byte. So it is simply always a chance that because there's a slow transfer via FTP or similar, that there's still data coming in, and too early transcode would probably lead to a defective transcode. Yeah, in our case, we can say, okay, again, we do want to do this for MP4s. Then we have an option that is called a group of files. Now, what's the concept? It's all about I'm working on more than just a video file. Typically, the so-called match pattern here is the video file, and then I have additional files. And XML, is here, could be, for instance, for a text to burn on to the video. I typically see as an example that we are not waiting for a text file, but we are waiting for instance, a subtitle file, an SRT file. But when it's a subtitle file, it's probably, let's say, an English subtitle file. And for that reason, I'm waiting for a file that has kind of file extension with _ENG. Now it can happen that I have not only video and subtitles, but in addition, for instance, an audio file, like a WAV file. And again, this might belong to a certain language. Let's say we have a French one. Now, what shall happen when not all the files are put into the watch folder? And that is defined here below. The default is to transcode anyway, but that's often not useful because when, for instance, a subtitle is missing, why do I want to transcode? So I like to set this rather to something like I want to delete the source. Means I'm stopping the all over process and I'm refusing these files to be the starting point for my transcoding process. The actual transcoding process is defined in the third tab. It's called encoding. Here we have different actions. The one that I've set up this very moment is a little bit more complex, but it's not always that you have a complex case. So for simple cases, all you need to do is to add an encoding. This will open us the preset editor that you have also seen in earlier how-to videos, where we do all the various settings. We can load a preset if already existing, or we define a preset as we need. And we should specify the output path. Alternatively, we have so-called simple actions and also complex actions. The idea of the simple action is that I react to my situation that I have a group of files that I'm waiting for. And now there's the question, do I really want to transcode all the files in the source folder? And typically the answer is a clear no, because I can't transcode the subtitle file. And I could transcode the audio file, but typically the transcoder will create a video file with black background video and the sound on that. That's not useful. I would like to use the video only and the audio and the subtitle in addition to that as additional or alternative audio. The way how I do that is I select the video pattern as my trigger, and bound to that trigger, I'm calling an encoding action. Again, this will open the preset editor, and in my case, as I said, I have a second audio loaded. I probably want to have two audio tracks, and I defined that the second audio track is taken from the second source audio track. I have all the video settings and the audio settings, as we have seen in the earlier how-tos as well. In addition, we have source filters. Source filters can't be configured differently than this because, they sit on the folder that we watch and then somehow need to tell the transcoder to activate such a filtering on the source side. They are part of the preset on the outgoing side, but if I want to have them on the incoming side as well, that's the way to do. And here we have all the various audio and video filters. Typically, we want to have, for instance, a normalizing filter on the source side. And we probably say we want to do an R128 loudness correction filter. Furthermore, we have the conditional audio mapping. That's a tricky one, because here we define how the audios from our both sources, the video and the audio, are mapped into our target format. Probably we need to have an audio mapping defined here. That depends a bit on your exact source situations. I'm elaborating on this topic in a different how-to, what is only about the audio track mapping. Yeah, and basically we are already done. Just one thing, I would like to quickly come back to the encoding settings. What you've probably spotted is there are the additional tabs. We have, again, as mentioned earlier, the outgoing filters. We have the post tasks. So here we specify whether the transcoded video simply stays on my output storage or whether I want to upload it to a different place. And again, we can do an upload by FTP, by network connections. We can even do the upload to social media like YouTube and Facebook, or to cloud storage, again, S3 storage, or in this case, Harmonix VOS for origin servers, or Akamai's origin server with the net storage. We can run command line scripts, but there's a better way, because in the notification section, we can bind them to a certain criteria. It's similar like with the download. We can say, okay, I want to send an email in case of a transcoding error. Then probably in this cases, I want to send this to the admin at me.com whatsoever. And that sends me an email about what has happened. Probably I want to notify a content management system in case of a successful upload. That can be done with a web service call. And probably I want to do a post call. And then here I have an HTTP and server, I don't know, IP whatsoever, and then whatever I need to drive there. There are various parameters that I can make use of that I'm sending into that content management system from my transcoding system. Yeah, and last but not least, there's the scriptable workflow. I cannot explain all the details in this how-to, but most likely you will need it in combination with these various language sources, because we somehow need to tell the transcoder how it shall map, for instance, the subtitle source file into the subtitle filter, if we want to do, for instance, a burn-in. Or we need to tell the transcoder how to take the additional audio file and how to map that into, let's say, the second audio outgoing track. That all can be done with a scriptable workflow. Please make use of our support services. Simply send an email to support@x-stream-distribution.com and we will help you with the script that is applicable in this case. Now let's come to the fourth tab. That is about the cleanup. The idea here is that we do not delete the files that we have been transcoding and then uploading to an FTP target, for instance, immediately. But we keep them for a moment. Why? Imagine you upload to a CDN and someone accidentally deletes the files there. Or you transfer the files to your editing environment and accidentally someone deletes the files there. Now, when everything is cleaned up, your original sources, the transcoding output, you are lost. You have no chance to redo. But with this option, you can do. So the idea is once a day, we check whether a certain trigger condition is met. And our trigger condition is that we say the file was used successful and that was at least 1 day ago. In this case, we are calling this action. And for instance, that is we are deleting the source. We can also move that, or we can send an email. And we probably want to say, yeah, I want to delete shortcuts and the original video. And that shall apply to the complete group of files. So in our case, to the video, the audio, and the subtitle file. That easy it is. So what it will do, with a maximum delay of 2 days and a minimum delay of 1 day, it will delete the original sources. In the last tab, we get a summary that shows us everything what we have set up just now. and by pressing OK, we are done. Yeah, so every new file that comes in will be now transcoded according to our setup. In case there are already files in that watch folder, we can also reprocess them with this reprocess option. Be careful, if you have lots of files in there, that can cause lots of transcoding jobs to happen right now. Thank you so much for joining me in this how-to video about how to set up watch folders in Cambria FTC.